Hello children, good morning. Let us continue with the digestive system. The digestive system, we have already finished the alimentary canal. Now, the alimentary canal starts in the mouth, ends in the anus. And today what I shall be doing is the esophagus. The esophagus is the region from the mouth to the stomach. This canal, right from the mouth to the stomach, this is called the esophagus. It conducts the food from the throat to the stomach. It does not produce any digestive enzyme in the esophagus. That means there is no digestion taking place. It is only the peristaltic movement of the esophagus and the secretion from the lining of the esophagus that lubricates the food and it pushes it down the esophagus till it reaches the stomach. Okay, now as it reaches the end of the esophagus, the stomach, over here at the front of the stomach, there is a valve known as the cardiac sphincter. Now the cardiac sphincter valve, the sphincter has a ring of muscles. As the food reaches here, the sphincter valve opens and the food enters the stomach. Over here, the food undergoes a lot of churning because it has secretions. The stomach has gastric juice, which is highly acidic due to the presence of hydrochloric acid, all secreted from the lining of the stomach. Yes, it's called gastric juice, which is very acidic because of the hydrochloric acid present over there. There is water in the gastric juice, some salts are there, an enzyme called pepsin is also there. Because the gastric juice is acidic, it does two things. It kills the germs that have come along with the food. And another thing it does is it actually activates the enzyme which is called pepsin. That pepsin is actually in the form of an inactive substance known as pepsinogen. But due to the action of hydrochloric acid, it changes into active pepsin. Okay? This pepsin in the stomach, it digests the proteins and it takes it into a simpler form of proteins known as peptides. It makes it into simpler form of proteins known as peptides. After the food goes a lot of churning, it turns into another type of form. It turns into another form known as chyme. When it is ready, that time again, the other end of the stomach over here, before it enters into the small intestine, there is another valve over here, okay, which is known as the pylorus, Pylorus. Pylorus, that is also guarded by sphincter valves, ring of muscles. Okay, when the chyme is ready, the sphincter over here again opens and the food then enters into the small intestine. Okay, so we have just done till the stomach. Now let me do it in detail. The esophagus conducts the food, as I showed you in the diagram, from the throat to the stomach. It does not produce any digestive enzyme. Yes, the esophagus does not produce any digestive enzyme. Only there is the movement, the peristaltic movement and lubrication by the secretions from the wall of the esophagus that lubricates the food and pushes it down to the stomach. The stomach is an elastic bag. The stomach is an elastic bag. It lies below the diaphragm. The diaphragm is a sheet of muscles that separates the abdominal cavity from the chest cavity, and the stomach lies just below the diaphragm. The muscular walls of the stomach, it helps in churning the food, mixing the food. Okay? Now the opening of the stomach into the small intestine is called the pylorus. I already showed you in the diagram. Okay? The pylorus has a ring of muscles called the sphincter. Okay? When the food is nicely churned and turns into chyme, I told you the sphincter opens and the food moves into the small intestine. Now the gastric juice, which is secreted by the inner lining of the stomach, and it is there in the stomach, it is highly acidic. I've already told you actually when I showed you the diagram, it is highly acidic due to the presence of hydrochloric acid. It has water, some salts, an enzyme called pepsin, okay? And because this gastric juice is highly acidic, it kills the germs which may have entered into the stomach, okay? This acid kills the germs. And another thing what the acid does is it activates pepsin, okay? And it acts on the proteins. Pepsin digests the proteins and turns it into peptides, as peptides are simpler form of proteins. Okay? Now, the pepsin, first it is not pepsin which is active in the stomach, it's not pepsin. First it is secreted as pepsinogen. This pepsinogen is changed into pepsin by the hydrochloric acid. Once it becomes pepsin, it is an active substance. Now this is, in short, I'll show you. Pepsinogen inactive. Now this is all happening in the stomach. Pepsinogen, which is inactive in presence of hydrochloric acid, it turns into pepsin, which is an active substance. That pepsin acts on proteins and changes it into peptides. Now there is another substance which is prorenin. Again, this prorenin is inactive. In presence of the acid, it changes into renin, which is an active substance. This renin again acts on milk protein casein, which is soluble. The renin enzyme acts on it and changes it into paracasein, a peptide. That means a simpler form of protein. Okay? So after that, what happens is the food stays in the stomach for 3 hours. In this 3 hours, it turns into a pulp. The pulp in the stomach, that is called chyme. Once the chyme is ready, then the other end of the stomach that has the pylorus sphincter opens and the chyme gradually enters the intestines. So here I stop. Thank you.